What does it mean to fail? Well, based upon who you ask, you'll get a myriad of different answers. For a concept in Western society that seems so clear and understood, the perception of failure amongst the world's many cultures and ideologies makes it seem abstract. It's something that people have to cope with differently, and for some, it's non-existent. The most universal and commonly understood definition of failure is the lack of success or the omission of expected or required action. There are the more functional and objective meanings of failure that pertain to something like a car engine, but for the sake of discussion, I'd rather stick to the human concept of failure. I'm fascinated by the idea of failure, not because I have any sort of emotional hangups or personal inadequacies, but because I consider it to be so immensely important to the human experience. It's very common in our lives to be told things such as, failure is not an option, and especially, winning is everything, if you played an organized sport. There is truth within these statements, benefiting from a lack of nuance and an abundance of bluntness. No matter what activity you find yourself engaged in, you have to give it your all and go in with the intent to succeed. The problem arises when you don't win or you don't succeed, and you have to handle the outcome. This ties back into the main point I'm trying to get across. Although nobody ever wants to fail at something, you have to be prepared for the possibility that you will. I don't find any cynicism in this statement because I believe that more people will be better off if they try this. There are many different forms of failure that we experience, such as loss, rejection, not meeting expectations, and more that apply on a person-to-person basis. I've named these ones specifically because they've applied the most to my own story. From my own personal experience, for how devastating and even heartbreaking failure can be, it's something that I found to be enormously instrumental in my personal growth. I had originally had this notion that nothing could ever go wrong in my life, while simultaneously fearing what could happen in the future. Much of this fear arose from the naive notion that I needed to impress everyone and live up to the expectations that I perceived that they had for me. For a while, I had thought that this was the way you'd get people to like you. It's not until you falter for the first time. It's not until you can't do it, not until you try and try and try and try. It's not until you're not perfect. It's not until you're not you. Then you really begin to see who cares and who saw you as just a number. Well, no one's just a number. Not unless you treat yourself like one. There are days that suck. Days where you're gonna get your ass kicked. But newsflash, you're gonna have to get your ass kicked every so often. Because if you don't, then how do you know if you're doing a good job? Pick yourself up, learn, and ask yourself, what am I so afraid of?